Hi there, I'm Annie, one of the superstars here in the POD Rockstars group. Back in November, I asked what topics would be the most beneficial for you and your business, and the main topics were personalization, how to use the new personalization tool in Printify, Canva and Photoshop, why some people would prefer one or the other, and why some image size ratios work better for some products but not for others. But first, let's dive into personalization. Recently, in 2024, Printify released their new personalization tool, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how the best way is to use it, how it's meant to be used, and also how it works. So when you first create a product, say you're creating a custom ornament that you want people to be able to personalize, you want to make sure that you select the Enable Personalization box here. When you do this, you'll be able to edit the personalization instruction that you will see for this platform. I'm using Etsy as the marketplace. And then when you receive your order on Etsy, this is what it will look like on the side for Printify. Now, in the case of Etsy, the personalization that the buyer includes will be listed here. Since this is a sample order, there is no information put here. But all you would do is you would go to Review. Once you've gone to Review, you can make any changes that you need to this product. Say the customer ordered a different name. And then once you're happy with the changes you made and they fulfill the personalization request by the buyer, you can click Approve Personalization. This does not submit the order to production. It just saves it. From there, you'll be able to submit the order to production. But first, let's talk about how this whole process works. First, what you do is you create the listing with personalization enabled. That means that whenever you receive an order for that listing, Printify will hold the order on manual production. It is not automatically sent to production, so you don't accidentally have the wrong product sent to your buyer. And then it also creates a separate listing for that order. This listing does not show up anywhere in your Printify catalog so that it does not affect your original listing that's on Etsy. That way you no longer accidentally mess up the original product listing that you created for the listing itself. Once you have that order come in, then you are able to go through the personalization process, review the personalization, make the changes you need, and approve it, and then submit it to production. This submits the new listing to production, the one you don't see, not the original listing, so that your original listing is never touched, and then you don't have multiple copies of the same listing, all for different personalization requests. Now let's dive into probably one of my favorite topics, which is Photoshop. And specifically, we're going to be going over the basic layout of the Photoshop interface, kind of how it looks like, just so you have an idea of what to expect if you want to start using Photoshop for your business. And then also what some reasons could be that people may want to use Canva for their designs versus Photoshop or vice versa. All right, so here we are in Photoshop. Now, the first thing you'll notice is you're going to want to create a canvas. Generally, for square designs, you're going to want a 2000 by 2000 pixel or a 3000 by 3000 pixel, just to make sure your designs are high quality enough for any product that you're putting the design on. Some of the main tools that you will probably use, you will find over here in the left toolbar. The most common ones you'll use is obviously the direct selection tool. This is what you would call your main pointer. Other tools might be the pen tool, which you can use to create shapes. You might also use the curvature tool to add curve to the design and shape that you're creating. And then, of course, you will probably use the move tool, which will be the main tool to move any elements in your layers. Now, sometimes you might get lost with all the different layers that you have in a product, and you don't know which one's on top and which one is on bottom. In that case, you're going to want to use the Layers tab, which you will find over here on the right-hand side. Now, when you first open Photoshop, your screen may look something like this. There may not be any toolbars on the side or layers in the side panel. And so what you want to do is you want to come up to Window, Workspace, and then Essentials Default. This will lay out both your toolbar and your toolbar for your different layer tools. This includes tools such as your gradients, your patterns, your adjustments, properties, and your layers tab. Your layers tab is where you're going to find all the different layers in your product, your different shapes, and also you'll be able to find the different adjustment layer or clipping masks that you make in this tab as well. But what else could you be using Photoshop for your business? Well, you may be using it to repair images. So let's open up an image and let me show you what I mean. To add an image to your design, assuming you didn't open one when you first started, you can go up to File and Place Embedded. From here, you can choose your file to insert into your project. Once you place your image, it will land in your Photoshop interface, and you'll also find it in your Layers tab as well. Now, for example, what if you want to repair a part of the image, which is something that you may do, especially if you're editing a design to fix an AI error, or if you're editing a mock-up to repair a part of the image that doesn't fit with the rest. Well, this is where the healing tool will come into play. Up here, if you look underneath this tab, third one down, you will find the Spot Healing Brush tool. Now, you may notice I am not able to click on this image. If you find yourself ever in this situation when you're trying to draw on your image, edit the image with the healing tool, or just generally the button is not working to allow you to draw, you need to rasterize the layer or select the layer. So for example, even though I have the layer selected, I still can't select it because the layer is not rasterized. And so if you're ever having trouble drawing, try taking a look in your layers and seeing if the layer is rasterized or not. If it is, there will be no symbol in the bottom right corner. Just like that, which means now I can now edit this photo. But from here, you can use the healing brush tool to adjust a single part of the image, and it will remove that part and fill it in using reference points from the rest of the image. But why might people decide to use Photoshop instead of Canva? Well, for one, Photoshop has an incredibly complex range of tools that you can use for images, designs, vector images, rasterized images, and any type of file, versus Canva, which is not as advanced as Photoshop in that regards. Basically, it boils down to which type of designing fits you better. For Photoshop, you're generally going to be creating different elements and graphics in your design in the program itself. You likely won't be importing them. Unlike Canva, you will be looking for graphics to import into your design, not necessarily create those graphics in and of themselves. Other reasons to use Photoshop might be more advanced effects. You are able to select certain parts of an image, create clipping masks, and so on and so forth. However, for Canva, many of those tools are much more generalized, and you have to use frames in order to limit your clipping masks in Canva, unlike Photoshop. Now, let's talk about why the same image size and ratio might not work across different products. First, let's talk about image size and ratio. Image size refers to the dimensions of your image, generally measured in pixels, whereas the ratio is the relationship between the width and the height of your image. For example, an image with a 1-to-1 ratio is a perfect square because the sides are the same. The width and the height are the same value. Different products have different requirements for image sizes and ratios. For example, a t-shirt might require a large high-resolution image to put on the front, whereas a mug needs a smaller image to wrap around. Using the same image size and ratio for both of those can lead to poor and low-quality results. So, why does this matter? Well, an image designed for a t-shirt will look great on the t-shirt, but it might look squashed and stretched for a coffee mug. That's why it is really important to know the image size and image ratios for the product you're designing for, so that your design is properly scaled for that product and it aesthetically looks good. One really easy way to resize images to the proper dimensions or ratios that you need them resized for would be to use Canva or Photoshop. If you have Canva Pro, then you can easily resize your design by just going to your design, going up to File, Resize, and then choosing the option that best fits the product that you're designing for. From there, the design will be copied over to a new listing in Canva, and from there you can make changes to realign your elements to fit the new ratio. That's all the time that we have for today, so thank you for listening, and I hope that you found something that was useful for you that you can apply to your POD business. If there's something I talked about today that you'd like me to go in more in depth, or even something that I didn't cover that you'd like me to cover again in a future video or post, feel free to let me know in the comments of this video, and I will hopefully get that in on the next project. But for now, thank you all for joining me, and thank you again for listening.